The long-awaited sequel to James Cameron's billion-dollar hit Avatar has finally arrived, and the question on everyone's mind is, does it live up to the hype? Stick around to hear our thoughts. Hi, everyone. My name is Rachel.
My name's Sam.
And my name's Katie.
And welcome back to Project Nerd, where nearly everything is reviewed and discussed. Today, we are going to be discussing Avatar: The Way of Water and giving our thoughts on the long-awaited sequel. Before we get started, don't forget to follow Project Nerd on all our social medias and hit that subscribe button to see more great content like this. Avatar: The Way of Water. This is the sequel that has been talked about for 13 years coming, and it's finally here. And so now I'm going to talk about everything that it gifted to us, starting with the most obvious thing. I feel like you can't get through an Avatar review without discussing this. The way it looks. I mean, it is obviously the most visually incredible thing that I've ever seen. I mean, I don't think anyone is going to discount that.
I mean, that's what you're paying for at the end of the day, is you're paying to see a cool looking planet with weird looking stuff. I mean, that's what you're paying for at the end of the day. And I mean, it's good. It's good, man. It's like the first movie, you know, you get what you pay for. You're not really going to see a big story and plot. You're going to see stuff blow up and cool looking plants and stuff.
I saw it in IMAX 3D at the Boeing Science Center, and like the 3D and visual effects, like when I tell you, like the scene, it looked lifelike. Like the way they did the 3D for like that film, it was like you're looking into an actual forest, and I was like, well, that is just simply just impressive. Like I was like, yeah, like it's just like Jake's wife held her arrow up, and like if you're sitting and like in the middle of the theater, it looked like the arrow, if you turned your head, was like coming straight at your face. I was like, now that is some good visuals.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't see it in 3D. I didn't see it in IMAX. I chose to save my money, honestly, because tickets were quite expensive at my local theater. Hearing you talk about it, I kind of wish I had maybe seen it in 3D, even though I always complain about 3D movies. But yeah, I mean, I was amazed by the first movie when it came out, and so I knew this one was going to be good. And you really just kind of forget that what you're watching isn't real. Like, you didn't just go out into the wilderness somewhere and film it. It's like watching National Geographic on a different planet. I mean, the colors are so much more vibrant than the first one, and the attention to detail is great. So I mean, visually it is a spectacle, and I would honestly go see it just for that. That being said, there were certainly other aspects of the movie that I feel fell a little bit short, and we will definitely get to that. So let's start by discussing our characters, some new characters and some returning characters. How are we feeling about where Jake and Neytiri are at this point, and how are we feeling about their gaggle of
we hate their children? We hate their rat children.
What?
They made a 70-year-old they made a 70-year-old woman play a 16-year-old, first of all. James Cameron, why would you do that? Second of all, the two older brother characters or whatever are interchangeable in my mind. Lowak and Natiram, they are the same person. I do not care. They are the same character. The water Navi, they at least were like a little different. A little bit. Not much. Also, it's a little weird that all of Jake's children are played by white people. That's just me, though.
Oh god.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
someone had to touch on it.
Oh, I liked when they were in the forest and they were like having their family moments and they're hunting and they're just like blissful little life. I'm like, this is so nice. It's so campy. Something's gonna happen. I genuinely appreciated the fact that a whole like good 20-minute first chunk of the movie was all about how happy they were and how like they found these orphans from all the from the base and they took them all in. And I'm not mad at Sigourney Weaver playing a teenager because if you think about Avatar, how they're putting people into bodies, that's not weird. But the weird part is how she got pregnant. How did
It's
her
like Star
avatar
Wars,
get
man. It's
pregnant?
like Star Wars.
And their explanation that they give in the opening narration is just,
Also, the
don't even
opening
ask us how that
narration
happened. We don't
is
know.
really funny. I
Yeah,
really
I mean-
enjoy how everybody just hates Spider with an unbridled passion. Really enjoyed that personally.
Why? Give me one reason why he was a bad character.
I'm not saying he's a bad character. I just think it's really funny that every character in this movie hates him with an unbridled passion. His father hates him. Jake hates him. Literally, like the first line, they're like, "He's a stray cat. We hate this guy. He doesn't fit in." That's it.
My only real complaint about Spider is his hair. His hairstyle. It's my only real complaint. Give the boy Viking braids. Give him Viking braids. That was my problem.
That's true. I feel like you could have done that and it would have looked it would have looked a little bit more
not as sketchy.
Yeah, I mean, there were other ways you could have done that. I mean, I get that you're trying to show that he is like assimilated into the culture, which is cool. You know, that's a good aspect to his character, I think, but especially in contrast with who his father is, which we'll get to. But yeah, I mean, he also had him just wear a loincloth for the entire thing, which is very weird considering he's just a human man. So
a human teenager, might I add.
A human teenager.
Which is worse.
I didn't hate the kids. I agree with you, Sam. I could not tell the two sons apart half the time. They looked way too similar. You should have done something more to differentiate just how they looked. Because they're literally on screen and I'm like, oh, which one is that? They're like, you needed something else to differentiate them. I'm not mad about Sigourney Weaver's character either. There were just a few moments where she said something and you were like, oh, that is a 7-year-old woman.
That's
like
true.
Like for the most part it sounded okay, but then every once in a while she would, just the way she said something or how her voice sounded or something like that, you would suddenly be reminded that this is an elderly woman who is voicing this child character. And so
don't diss my woman Sigourney, Rachel. Don't do
I'm
that.
Not. When did I do that? When did
don't say that.
Absolutely, I'm not. I'm really not. I didn't hate any of the child actors in this movie, which is a surprise, honestly. Especially since, I mean, it's child actors acting with someone who's not a child. I mean, they're acting alongside
on a soundstage where there's nothing, where there's no references.
Okay.
I did.
It's just impressive, man.
I did appreciate the power dynamic, like the two older brothers wanted to prove with their father they were good enough, but father's like, no, you're gonna get hurt, don't do this. But what I don't understand is I understand the two older ones dragging themselves in and trying to prove something, but why were the children, these little tiny children, always in the wrong place at the wrong time, getting kidnapped, almost getting killed? Well, why? Like,
They do
what?
I
kind of
blame
I
seem
don't
Pook. I blame Pook.
understand.
I blame that small little avatar
they do
baby
kind of seem like they're always in the way. I'm not gonna
of
lie.
water.
I cannot believe they put that into the dialogue twice in this movie. They talked about the way of water. So Jake and Neytiri, unfortunately, are not the only characters who have returned from the first film. We also have the villain of the first
Captain
film.
Avatar Oakleys.
Jesus. Miles Quaritch, who is the villain from the first film, and he has been reincarnated in a very roundabout way, and now he and a bunch of other soldiers who died during the conflict of the first movie are now in Na'vi bodies, and I cannot express in enough words how much I hate this.
It is a
Counterpoint, it's
literal.
really funny.
This one I'm gonna get hate for. I'm gonna say it, and I don't care. People who write screen movies and comic books, resurrection and wormholes is not a plotline story. I'm sorry. You cannot get out of killing somebody by reviving them in another body or a wormhole or an alternate universe. Make a new villain. Make a new villain.
Yes.
Okay,
I don't
said
know.
it.
I mean, like, I feel like that for the most part, but I mean, it was kind of metal seeing Courage just take his human skull and then just crush it. I think that was kind of cool and kind of neat,
That
I
was
think.
that was pretty metal. I was
Sure.
like,
Yeah.
And I feel
all
like
right. I'll give him
the
that.
only reason that James Cameron brought Courage back was exclusively because he wanted to do that, and that is it.
I mean, that's really the only purpose he served in this movie, other than to be just a ridiculous antagonist. I
And
mean,
have some of the funniest lines.
oh yeah. Do you want to say
trying
it? I get the feeling you want to say it.
You can say it. You
trying.
can say it.
I'm not saying it. You can
I'm
say it
gonna
if you
say
want.
it.
We'll get around
I'm
it.
gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. They literally took, if you took a soldier and painted the soldier blue, that's what his dialogue. Everything he said literally sounded like it was copy and pasted from an army movie
From a
off a
Michael Bay
commercial.
movie.
Exactly.
From a Michael Bay movie. Yes. Oh my God. That is what the vibe was.
They took a Michael Bay character and they threw him into a sci-fi space movie that James Cameron was doing.
I have never understood what people meant by like the uncanny valley or people getting freaked out by things or aliens or whatever until I saw the soldiers in this movie that had been reincarnated
The
as
Recoms, baby. The funniest characters in the
something
movie.
about them. Like they act too human.
It's because
It
they're wearing
was
human clothes. If they were
so
wearing more Na'vi outfits, you wouldn't have
maybe
the
that's
uncanny
it,
valley
but
effect.
something about like the mannerisms and everything, it was just, it all felt so strange and so
You
weird.
didn't like the girl one that chewed bubblegum all the time?
No, I didn't like that one. I didn't like the guy with the fade and the Oakleys. That
didn't
was the most
That was-
cursed thing I've ever seen in my life.
He's a Na'vi patron.
Although,
Oh God. Yeah.
although I
No,
did,
it's all weird and bad. I don't like it.
I thoroughly appreciated that like they're like, we're tough, we're military, we're in the jungle, we're Navi, we got this, and that like creature comes along and just murders like 3 of them, and I was like,
Yeah. I was like, thank God, get him out of here. Honestly.
Also,
and
Stephen
and I
Lang
just
is
gotta
just
say,
a
last
wonderful
thing.
villain.
What?
He's a great villain, man. I like him. Stephen Lang, he's a really funny villain in this movie. He's got
He
some
was
of
a
the
good villain.
goofiest lines.
He was a good villain in the first movie, but I feel like it takes away from some of the other stuff that they were trying to do. in this movie. I mean, and we'll get to that down the line, but it just felt like, I don't know. And again, I'm not into, and it was almost like it was too soon. You know, like if you want to bring your villain back, that's fine, I guess. But I feel like you have to, yeah, there's got to be some time in between. I feel like, you know. So it felt a little too soon. Like maybe if you brought him back in like the fourth movie or something, and it was going to be a bajillion sequels to this. It anything but the second movie. If you just given us like a little breather, then maybe I wouldn't feel as upset about it. But I just don't think it was the right move for the direct sequel.
I'm gonna make a comparison here. That's probably gonna make some people angry. It took less time to come out with the Avatar sequel than it did to come out with Kingdom Hearts 3. And they used the same villains for both franchises. And I'm like, but it's been 13 years. Yeah, but it's the next game. Come on, try. No.
Yeah, it's been 13 years since the movie came out, but I watched the first one like last week. So it doesn't feel like it's been 13 years. I can rewatch it whenever I want. To me, it feels like yesterday. So, you know, it just makes I feel like it makes the first movie feel a little bit less impactful. So, our final new characters for this movie are the water Navi, whose names escape me. The name of their tribe. I'm going to be forgetting a lot of names in this. But I like them. I like them a lot. I thought their little culture was cool, and I said
Did you
little
like the
culture
one
like
with the?
it was
Did you
so
like the one with the
condescending.
fade?
I like what?
Did you like the one with the high top?
Yeah, the one with the high top was nice. I've been seeing a lot of memes of him lately. But yeah, I thought their culture was cool, which we'll get into. I thought their design was really cool. They're definitely, let's just say, borrowing from some cultures that exist here on Earth, but I'm not going to talk about that. That'll just be something for viewers to ponder. I feel like we don't need to get into that in this video.
No, I have a few ideas, but for the sake of YouTube, I'm not gonna say them. I mean, honestly, it's not worth getting internet shamed. I'm not gonna say it. So whatever ideas I have, I could possibly be wrong, and I don't want that. So I'm not gonna say it. But on that note, if you look at the real history of what happened with natives, you could have picked so many better villains. Like, seriously, the actual real history of everything that went down colonizing, there are so many better villains out there. Like, they literally showed a processing facility where they tore everything up, put concrete. The head of that company could have been a grand possible villain.
Bring back Selfridge, the funniest named villain from the first movie.
Another guy from the first one. He just wanted that rock, I guess.
Unobtainium.
Oh, I hate the names for things in this.
And now they're going after what's the brain juice that the whales got?
I don't want to talk about that yet because it made me sad.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was the only sad part of the movie.
I mean, let's get into the plot though, because this is where I feel like the movie really falls short. I feel like people fall into a couple different categories when it comes to these movies, and I'm someone who really actually likes, I'm a big fan of the first movie. I like it a lot. I liked it when it came out. I still kind of like it now.
It's
I like it
campy.
a
It's
little bit.
fun.
It's fun, and everyone, the criticism that you always hear for that one is that it's a copy and paste plot from Pocahontas or Dances with Wolves or whatever movie you want to bring up, where a white guy integrates with natives and becomes part of their culture and eventually turns on the other people and whatever. It's a story that's been done a million times before. But you can argue that about so many other movies that are out there. I mean, why is the basic plot line of every Marvel movie the exact same? I mean, it's kind of a weird criticism to have, in my opinion. And I feel like the simplicity of the plot in that movie is a little bit more advantageous because you can focus a lot more on
The world.
the world and the world building and the characters and things like that. This movie has a plot that is so unnecessarily complicated and goofy. And it's like it's again, it's almost like a Marvel movie where it's like you've got a really serious thing going on and you've got a really kind of goofy thing going on at the same time, and they don't mesh well together at all.
I
They really
almost
don't.
feel like this movie is like if ADHD was a movie, where there's like 12 different things going on and you're just kind of hopping back and forth with some of the worst scene transitions of all time.
So
Where they're like, oh yeah, we forgot about this thing. Let's go to this thing. Oh wait. There's this thing happening too. I totally forgot about that. Let's go look at this thing. Oh, let's see what Jake Sully's doing. Okay, awesome. All right. Oh wait, we forgot about the Colonel. What's the Colonel doing? And it's just like that for like 2 hours, and then like the first hour is just all exposition.
so there's one particular like transition part which I did not understand. So Jake and is the leader of the rebellion. He's the leader of the Navi. Great, fantastic. You didn't lose the battle. Your son nearly died. But all of a sudden you decide it's time to run away. Oh, but Spider got captured. He can tell us where we are. And they're just chasing me. They're not chasing you. They're chasing everybody. You literally ran away after one battle. You didn't even lose. Where was, like, I get that that's how you got to, like, the water Navi, but you didn't lose the battle. Nobody actually died there. But yet you were so scared after one battle, after being the fearless leader for such a long time, you instantly drop everything and leave. Where's the rest of that, plot transition? Where's the rest of it?
Yeah, because I mean, didn't they kind of I feel like they established in the first movie that, like, especially towards the end, right before Jake was about to fully like turn away from the humans, they kind of established that, like, yeah, we're not really just here to say we want this mineral or whatever. We kind of want to be assholes and kill everyone. Like, and I get that they established, I don't know. I find it hard to believe that he would really just think that, like, if he died or if they captured him or whatever, that they would honestly just leave everyone else alone. I don't know how he would potentially think that. That did seem strange to me.
That is exactly my point. It's just plot armor. It's plot armor to get you to point A to point B. I granted the whole point of the movie was the water Navi, and you integrate with the water Navi, which is a fantastic scene. I'm not gonna lie, that was great. But don't you think that after, like, the whole family build up and everything else, they now when they bulldoze the tree, they bulldoze the tree, they do all this, and now they're hiding in the mountains. You were hiding in the mountains. you were safe for a while. You could have like legitimately used your resources as a leader to done something, and you didn't. You just ran away.
You have the
It was a
high ground.
tactical retreat. It was a tactical retreat of only one family where you can't tell half of them apart.
Oh my god. And that's what made me kind of disappointed about the story overall, is because there is stuff in here that that I feel is compelling. I mean, the stuff with his family is a compelling story. I feel like the conflict between him and his youngest son is compelling, but it's not fully fleshed out in the way it should be, because they have to also devote time to whatever the heck the humans are doing in this movie. And I wish that they had just cut that plot line from this movie entirely. I mean, if it had really just been about him and the dynamic of his family, that I feel like is a simple enough story and a compelling enough story to get you to where you need to be. Because it just sort of felt like, at the end, it just sort of felt like a half-assed guy back from the dead and wants revenge plot line, and a half-assed, oh, I don't get along with my son because he's me plot line. You know, and neither of them are fleshed out the right way.
I was just gonna say that. Like, I was literally gonna say that. You came back. It's the last thing I'm gonna say about it. We can move on. You came back as a Navi. You came back strong. You know, you were good. You were good enough to get shit done. Sorry, get things done. What do? You take whole revenge. You don't use your knowledge of what you know to help the rest of the humans on pay. You don't do any of that. You just use it on petty, angry revenge. Like, this whole thing is basically just finding him and killing him. Like, that's the whole thing. Yeah.
I don't know. Anything else to add, Sam?
I mean, it's fun, man. It's fun. I went to this movie for two things: watch blue people blow shit up and fight each other, and to watch James Cameron show off some cool looking human gray stuff. And I got both of those. So I'm a happy camper, baby. I had a good time. I liked the submarine. I think that James Cameron, like vehicles and things, I think he's got great concept art. And it's like, I'm just a sucker for seeing stuff like that. Like the robot and the amp suits. I think those are cool. Mm-hmm. The really stupid, silly exoskeleton thing that the new commander lady had that she was sipping coffee from. That thing's cool. The big fucking dump truck when they're converting the land or whatever. This is all cool stuff.
Yes, it is.
Exactly. Which is why I don't want them to cut all the human stuff out of the movie. But I mean, again, I went to this movie to see stuff explode. I went to it to watch blue people fight each other. And I went to turn off my brain and watch James Cameron be James Cameron. And I got all that, so I'm not going to complain too much about it.
I mean, that's fair. That's part of what makes me so frustrated, I feel like, is because the world building is so incredible in this movie. And you're right, everything looks just interesting. I mean, the way that the machines and everything that the humans use are kind of made for the landscape, and all the animals and the creatures and the people, everything about it is so well thought out, and so it works so well together. And this movie cost so much money to make.
It just hit like $1.9 billion, and now it's profitable.
right. That it makes me frustrated that this is the kind of movie where you have to say, oh, to enjoy it, you have to turn your brain off because the
Well,
story's crap.
I mean,
I
I
mean, it
feel
doesn't
like you
feel like
kind
it
of
should
just need to
be that.
prepare
If they
yourself.
put as much thought, into the story as they did into the world building, it would literally be like the perfect film.
Well, then you wouldn't be focusing on the world. You'd be focusing more on the story. I think the idea that James Cameron had is that the first like two movies are all like, here's world building. And then the third movie's like, all right, now we're going to focus on plot, which is dumb that you have to kind of do that before you are able to get to like a meat of a good story. But I think that what James Cameron is doing with creating like a new franchise, like there was no Avatar book, there was no
Yeah.
Avatar comics or video games. All that stuff was from the first movie, you know.
Yeah. Well, and I don't feel like it has to be it doesn't have to be a bad story. That's what I'll say. The
It just
story
has to
of
be
the
a
first
story.
Well, the story of the first movie is not a bad story. Is it an original story? Absolutely not. Is it a complicated story? No, not at all. But is it a bad story? No. It's it's a story about a guy who was supposed to go and assimilate with these people so he could eventually turn on them and destroy their planet. And during that process, he discovered that he was actually the one in the wrong, and he ended up turning it around and doing the right thing in the end. That is a cohesive story that is good, or can be good if it's executed well. I mean, so seeing this and feeling like it doesn't feel finished. It kind of feels like they had all the world building stuff and then they just sort of threw this together at the end because they were like, we need the characters to do things. We can't just have National Geographic for 3 hours, even though I would have watched that and probably been happier.
I mean, as cool as that would be.
I have two more points on this. I appreciated the way they kept Jake connected to technology. Like the Navi didn't abandon the technology. They still had the avatar pods. They still had the little communication thing, which I thought was like, yeah, why not keep that? They had all that stuff and they used it like he combined the Navi way with like the military way and did something neat with it. I like that. That was a good inference. That was I think that was like a good thing that they did. I can appreciate that part of it. But honestly, I think they did a lot of this stuff to set things up for the next 3 or 4 movies. And honestly, I don't want another Avatar movie for at least 5 or 6 years because it's gonna happen. What happened with Marvel? Yes, we know. We love Marvel. I know another Star Wars movie. Everybody, I do not want oversaturation. I think that they need to take their time. They need to write a very, very, really in-depth like character building, like the kind of stories where you're looking and you're like, that's not cool, man. Don't that cool. Those kind of things. That's all I'm gonna say about it.
Yeah, I agree. There was definitely a lot of setting up for sequels and leaving story threads kind of unfinished, which is again different from the first one, which tied itself up very neatly, where it was almost like you didn't really need a sequel. So that's something I guess I have to just kind of accept, that there's going to be sequels, and so obviously the story isn't going to end in the most cohesive way from movie to movie. But yeah, they definitely left some interesting threads open at the end, I would say. Like their weird Jesus daughter, I guess, is that where they're going with that? I have
I
no
don't
you
idea.
mean
even-
the Avatar? They brought Aang in there? Yeah, they brought Aang in there. They had to call it Avatar for a reason. I mean,
Oh man. Okay, so we've talked about the world building a lot. Let's talk about the new tribe of Navi. Their name still escapes me. Please put it up on the screen, editor. Please put it up on the
Yes.
screen with a nice little pronunciation, because if I try to do it from what I think it's called, I'm just going to butcher it. But let's talk about them, because they basically just halt the movie for like 90 minutes and we're just sort of chilling in their little village, which honestly I think is the best part of the movie. It's very cool. Their culture is very cool. The way they interact with their environment is very cool. Their design is very cool, which I will get to, but I want to hear everyone else's thoughts first.
The first thought I had was they went very Pacific Islander, Samoan, Hawaiian, not angry in the least bit. I was like, that works.
they
That
should have had
that
Tamira
works real
Morrison play
well.
the king. Those are my
That's cool.
thoughts.
They could have had Tamara Morrison in
I
it.
think I think the world needs more Tamira Morrison.
I also think that when he landed with like the flying thing, again, I am terrible with what the actual things are called. Also, side note, it thoroughly made me angry that the soldiers just walked up to the flying creatures and just got one like nobody's business. That could piss me off, but I'll go see back to my other point. When they landed, like I appreciate how like the chief and his wife came out, and like it had that like very like I'm a leader and I'm a leader, but I understand, like kind of mutual respect kind of thing. Like it was like that was really cool.
Yeah, I thought that, again, James Cameron is fantastic at world building, and I thought everything about this new tribe was so cool. I love their design, because I feel like as I was watching the movie, I was noticing new different things about them that just adapted them to where they lived. I mean, the webbing on their hands and on their feet, the wider, flatter tails that help them get through the water. Their chests are
They got
bigger
thicker
because their
arms, man.
lungs are bigger, because they need to hold their breath for longer. I mean, just the attention to detail there was so cool to see. And their relationship with, I'm gonna piss James Cameron off, the whales.
They're not the
I know what
whales.
they're
They're called the
called.
Tolkien.
You pronounced it wrong. You pronounced it wrong.
Oh, the Tulkun. I'm not calling it that. James Cameron, you can find me.
The Tulkuns. I actually like that. It's
The Tulkun.
The Tulkun.
The Purgles.
The
Okay.
Pearls. It's the wrong film.
No, it's not.
It's the wrong franchise. The relationship with the Tulkun is cool. It's cool. After I got over the shock of talking whales, I was like, nope, this is cool. This is cool, actually. This should have been a more central plot point in the story. Again, it's plot points getting sidelined and everything. So, because it's such a cool society, and I'm kind of glad that the movie, even though it didn't feel very like, it doesn't fit in with the rest of the story, but it's cool to just sort of have that little bit where we're kind of just focusing on the world building aspect of it, you know. And I kind of wish that the story revolved around that a little bit more, because I really enjoyed watching it.
I like that the outcast Cocoon, or
The Piekin.
the whale spirit. I like that one was the one who saved Jake's son. Like they found each other in such like an outcast kind of like out the Cocoon was outcast, and then he felt like he didn't belong, and they found each other, and I was like, that's so sweet. And then he gets back to the village, and they're like, he's an outcast. He's a killer. You can't talk to him. He's outcast. He knows what he did. And I'm like, and if he killed for a good reason, I don't see the problem. But like, I thought that was a really cool little like side plot they did with them.
And again, that's an example. There's so many examples of this in the movie, which just makes it all the more frustrating. That's an example of a simple story, already done story, two outcasts of two different species meet each other, they connect. That's a story that we've seen before, but it's a simple story and it's an effective story when you do it right. I mean, that was a compelling aspect of the movie, and I wish they would have focused more on it.
But then another thing I noticed was that the water Navi and the forest Navi, the two sons of the families, had this like kind of like moronic, like, well, I want you to prove your worth. Well, I'm gonna fight it out, the kind of thing, like arguing dynamic. And in the end, they all wind up friends and like helping fight down. But the most gratifying thing I saw was when when the humans killed the Cocoon for the ambergris. I was like, and then left the carcass there. I was like, I want to jump through the screen and murder somebody. I was like, you just, what's wrong with you? And
I love those robot crabs, man. I love those robot crabs.
The
That's my
robot crabs are fantastic, but I hate what they were used for. But at the end, when the two coons fought back, when he like fought back and he jumped over the ship and he goes, oh yeah, by the way, no, jumped over the ship, broke the little speeder thing. Like, one of the most gratifying scenes was seeing the Cocoon hunter, like literally like getting his arm ripped off and flung into the water like he did with him. I was like, yes.
I can't wait for him to fight him in the third one with the robot hand. That's gonna be.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, Sam, any thoughts?
I love the robot crabs. I think the water people are cool. I mean, again, I think nature documentaries are cool, and I like fake nature documentaries. And this is a fake nature documentary. David Attenborough, if you're watching this, please just commentate over all of the like establishing shots in the first two Avatar movies, please and thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, that is actually sounds like a really, really good idea. You shouldn't give that one away.
He already did that fake nature documentary for Apple TV about dinosaurs.
They made it what?
You don't know about that?
We're gonna talk about that later. No big deal.
We're talking about that later. Okay. I will tell you about that after we're done with this. Okay. So now I kind of want to talk as our last little thing about some specific moments, something that we liked and something that we didn't necessarily like. And it can be as broad of a topic or as specific of something as you want, but just one thing you liked and one thing you didn't like. I can start off, or if anyone else wants to start
I'll let
off.
you start. I'll let you start because I know you want to say it.
I'll start. One thing I liked, I would say, and this is going to sound a little bit, I'm going to try and phrase this like as non-morbidly as possible because it might sound a little bad, but I liked that this movie had stakes. I will say there were some impactful scenes in this movie, and I'm going to spoil it. So if you haven't seen it, sorry. But when the two scenes I'm thinking of are when the humans kill the Tulkun and when his oldest son dies. I did not think that they were going to do either of those things, specifically killing his son. But I appreciate.
That's why they only made one of them memorable.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
when you're right. Oh God.
That's
They were
not
like,
nice.
let's just make the same character and then we'll kill one of them so we can get sympathy from the audience.
That's
Oh
not
my
nice.
God.
I'm gonna.
Okay.
I have a.
And I know it sounds bad, but I appreciate the stakes that it added to the film, because I feel like if we had gone through this franchise and everybody made it out alive, you know, especially considering the peril that so many characters were in this movie, it wouldn't have felt as impactful and the threats wouldn't have felt as threatening, you know? So I personally think that it was good that they decided to go that extra step to really like level up everything that's going on and be like, no, this is a real threat. There are real consequences that are happening right now. And I think those two scenes were, I mean, they were the only scenes that really made me feel any sort of emotion aside from just like, ooh, pretty colors. So, yeah, that was the thing that I liked. And what I didn't like, I would say, is honestly, after seeing the movie in its entirety, I felt like they sidelined my girl N.E.R.D from the first movie a lot in this, and it made me feel kind of bad. She didn't really have a role in this, and I really liked her in the first one, and Zoe Saldana is amazing. And so I wish they would have given her like more to do, especially the weird dynamic between like her and the chief's wife, Ronal, and then Jake and the chief, whose name I can't remember. It was just sort of like, oh, the leaders of the tribe, and then like, ooh, they're women. And so I hope that in the sequels they give her a little bit more to do, because I feel like Zoe Saldana was a little bit wasted in this.
Or they'll kill her. Who knows?
Oh my God, don't even say that.
I have one side note to what you're saying. After her son died, the rage in her body, that was terrifying. Like I saw her face go like this stuff. And then even Spider was like, yeah, no, you know what? You know what? No, thank you. I'm gonna stay back here. No, I'm good. I appreciated that. That was some real rage.
I think that one of my least favorite parts, but also one of the funniest parts in the movie, is right at the beginning. If you don't know, in the first Avatar movie, James Cameron made a language, which is fairly difficult to do.
I do know about this.
And he spent like years creating this language. And like only for the second movie, Jake Sully to go, I've been speaking Na'vi for so long, it sounds like English. And then all of the Na'vis just speak English for the rest of the movie, even though he spent years making this language.
Why? What was the point of that?
Funny.
Like, you're not supposed to acknowledge that. Like every movie that takes place in a different country or on a different planet where they clearly don't speak English, but everyone is walking around speaking English, like you're just supposed to accept that like you as an audience member are now able to understand this language for 2.5 hours or however long the movie is. You're not supposed to acknowledge that like, oh, we're just all speaking English.
Like, I genuinely think I would have enjoyed the movie more if it was all in Na'vi and only the humans were speaking English. I think that would have been kind of cool.
If it was entirely subtitled?
Yeah.
Hold on, wait for it.
Like 50% of the movie was in the font Papyrus.
Oh God. Yeah.
I just had a thought here. What if you're having to watch a translated version? Okay, what if they're speaking Navi? They're speaking a fake, a made-up language that sounds so much like English, but that when you're watching it, you're translated into like another country where they don't speak English. So they're watching a translation of a not real language.
Exactly.
Exactly.
You don't
That's the way it should have
exactly. All you need to do is change out the subtitles. You don't gotta like redub anything, except for the humans. It's genius. I think that's what James Cameron should have did.
But Americans don't like watching movies like that.
I do.
I know you
I
do.
would.
I'm James
It builds a
Cameron's sole
suspense.
fan. He's making movies for me only. I saw Avatar enough times to make it to $1.9 billion. Me only. One thing that I really did enjoy about this movie, I will say, is obviously I really like the human stuff. I mean, I just think all the stuff in there, all the vehicles are so goofy and like slightly sci-fi, and I really like that. It's got like a not a cyberpunk aesthetic, but like an industrial cyberpunk aesthetic, which I think is cool. That's that. Those are my thoughts on that.
So mine is a bit broad. I'm gonna start with the thing I don't like because the thing I do kind of like is intertwined. I don't like the fact. I get that they're colonizing Pandora, but it genuinely pissed me off to see it. Like I didn't like seeing it. I know that's what they're there for. I know that's why they're there. But like all these cool vehicles, all this cool technology, it's just like the first thing I could think of was greed. Greed, 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 greed. Resource mining and
People being
greed.
selfish.
Yes, and you go into this planet which is
Oh.
perfectly fine, perfectly happy, and you just tear everything to pieces. And you don't care who you kill, you don't care what you destroy. Just go in ham on going after these people and making them civilized with you. It's just like this kind of process, like why are you repeating this? Like there's no reason to repeat this process. But I know that's part of the plot and I have to get over that. But I genuinely did not like that. But I want to talk about what I liked, which was the filmy dynamic the whole way through the story. They started off showing the family and all the families were happy, and then they got to the water Navi, and they had the family still growing together and learning. And then as you see the kids in the water, you start to see their personalities develop, their interests develop, like they're blossoming as characters, which I liked. But I still couldn't understand why the kids were always in danger. Like, how do you put yourself in that situation constantly? And then the end fight scene was a little drawn out, I must say. I liked it, but it was drawn out. Mainly because how many times did Jake have to confront the recreated army dude? Like, how many times? Okay, the kids got captured twice. Then they had to recreate this thing, and then now the ship is sinking. And I thought it was super cool that Spider was like, oh, nope, not doing this. Broke free from the captors and blew up the ship so it sank. Yeah, but your family's still trapped on it. They went through all this trouble to get the kids out. The kids got recaptured, resurrendered, and then and at the end of the fight, they all wind up sinking and almost dying in this boat, and they can't hold their breath. But just plot armor magic, Sigourney Weaver's child magically comes along, doesn't do anything to like physically save, just goes like this.
It's because
To
she's the
bring
Avatar. It's because she's
all
the
the water
Avatar.
spirits, and all the water spirits magically come. And just like that, everybody is safe. And this underwater wings they hinted at in the first place magically comes back around. And I'm like, Why did you have to draw like the kids got kept twice? This happened twice. I get you're trying to build drama, and then at the end, Spider saves his his dad. I'm like, why did you save him? Jake and his wife basically got super angry, went after him just to get him out of his life, just to stop him, just so his family could be saved. And you literally save him. Why?
So he can be in the next one.
Again, why? Why? Anyway, that's it. That's what I have.
That's fair. That's fair. Listen, the kids just have main character syndrome. Everywhere they are.
I love plot armor, man. I love a good plot armor.
Yep, absolutely. So let's talk final thoughts. Let's give it a nice little rating out of 10. And then let's briefly talk about the sequel. The next sequel, I should say. We're not going to get into any news or anything like that. That can be, and likely will be, a separate video. But just, are we excited for it? Are we looking forward to it? Will we go see it when it comes out? So, yeah.
The fire people. The fire people.
The fire people.
Love the fire people. Big fan of them. I really like that. I hope we get to go to the water nation. The Earth nation in the fourth one. Or the air. I don't really know.
Air.
I hope Zuko's in the third one. I hope there's a Zuko counterpart that's an Avatar in the new one. I hope Quarterich comes down from the sky and Iora's like, Zuko, he needs to get tea. I think that'd be pretty cool. Those are my thoughts on Avatar 3 by James Cameron.
Can't see it, but I'm shaking my head furiously at you.
I mean, listen, it's a 10 out of 10 for visual spectacularity, whatever I don't know.
Spectacle?
I'm gonna start that over. I'm gonna start that over.
No, you can just say that.
No, I'm gonna start that over, I think. It's a 10 out of 10 for visual spectacle, and it's a 4 out of 10 for story. I mean, there definitely were parts that hit home. There were story beats that worked, and there were plenty of story beats that didn't. So, I mean, averaging out, it's getting like a 7 out of 10 because it's just it's the prettiest piece of like meh thing I've kind of ever seen. The sequel does intrigue me, I have to admit. I'm interested in a non-human villain. So I think I will likely be giving this franchise one more chance. I'll probably go see the third one and I think make my decision then. If that one doesn't impress me, then it might be heading for the door, I would say, because I don't have any stake in this. I don't really have that deep of an attachment to any of these characters, so I'm kind of just along for the ride at this point.
Okay, so my phone's at 3%, but I think that it's a really good movie. I'm someone that really goes out of my way to watch really intellectual movies. So if I'm going to see a turn off my brain movie, I'm purposefully going to see it, and I knew what I was getting into with this. So I mean, as like a turn off your brain and watch this to watch things go pew pew pew, I'm giving it like an 8. If I'm looking at it from like an actual movie, it's like a 6.
Oh no,
Well,
he's gone.
that's a very final thought. Okay.
He's gone. That's incredible.
My final thought is I'm looking forward to the sequel only and only if he puts more work into storylines. Develop your storylines. The visual gets 10 out of 10. The visual is outstanding. The actors are actually in special effects suits. They actually learned like underwater breathing techniques. They acted those water scenes out. Like some of those water scenes extended, but they filmed in a giant underwater tank with like natural breathing. Like the actors were like underwater for like 5 or 6, 9, 10 minutes at a time. Like 5 or 6, like I believe like 8 minutes at most. They were actually in those suits in the water, filming those actions, swimming those scenes, which I thought was fantastic use of like time and materials. It's not just, oh, just stand here and do this and we'll do everything by computers. It was overlaid by computers, but the actors actually did stuff, which I thought was super neat. I'm gonna say 8 because, as you said, visuals. No, I'm sorry. The visuals are a 12 or 15 out of 10. That's how good the visuals were. The storyline, I had my problems with it, obviously. But it was a good story. Like, I'm here, like, ragging on a little bit. But in this story, there were times when, like, I was genuinely connected. There were times when I was, like, I couldn't turn my eyes away from the screen. There were times, like, I was angry. I was sad. I was crying. If the movie was meant to make you feel something, it worked. I felt something. I definitely felt emotions. By the end of that movie, I'm like, I was sad and I was angry and I was happy. Even if the writing isn't as good, they still don't like the character doesn't get more well developed. I like if he can pull the same kind of emotion and visuals. I'll see you next one.
Fair enough. Okay, I'm gonna do the outro.
All right.
That's really unfortunate. Sam's phone died.
Like, and that's how I feel because the video cut out twice.
I'm gonna tell the editor to put like a little pop like a little card up on the screen, like the SpongeBob like cue card thing, and just be like Sam's phone died, and have the little like elevator music in the background, like the little like do 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 do.
12 years later.
Like, damn, he's out of here. Oh wait, he's trying to come back. He's trying to come back. Wait, let's see if we can get him back in.
You have to put like the editor, like the SpongeBob meme. The SpongeBob meme has to be like. They
did not like my Avatar 2 take.
You're back.
like when you give it to the editor, you gotta do like Sam's phone died. 100 years later, I am back.
James Cameron kidnapped me.
Oh my god. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that like button and leave a comment telling us how you felt about Avatar: The Way of Water and if you're excited for the next one. If you're new to the channel and you like this video, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell for notifications to hear about more content like this. This has been Project Nerd. My name is Rachel.
My name's Sam.
And my name's Katie.
And we'll see you guys in the next one.
Oh, Did you get the question of the day?
There's a
Oh,
What's that
I
day?
didn't do one. I didn't do one. I just said,
I'll
tell us
do
how you're
one.
feeling. Oh, you want to do a question of the day? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. The question for the comments I'm asking is, did Avatar 2 live up to what you were expecting with the visuals and the emotions? Let us know in the comments if you felt influenced or you got lost in this movie like we did.
Did you get swept